Good day, all. Hello. Welcome to the show. Mike and Easus here for you. Hello, Easus.
Hello.
Glad I caught you before you came down here. Easus showed up with his Frank Ragnow jersey on backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, God, this guy.
It's been such a different experience this last few months for sure. Yeah. Wearing the stuff like I'll take today off, wash everything tomorrow. And then now it's back, I think, all week now. There's no reason it can't change now.
How exciting is this? This city's got to be just beside itself. They didn't think it was possible.
No.
I should say
3 years, man. 3 years to the day he got hired. That's when that game happened.
Yeah, Dan Campbell. And he said 3 years.
Did he really? I forget.
Yes, he said 3 years.
That's
it's a 3-year process. And boy, is he living up to his word. And I know so many people just regarded him as a meathead and this and that. And there is something about coaches speak and meatheadedness. And
yeah.
But for some reason, it just seems to fit with these guys and with this city. There is something different about blue-collar cities.
Yeah, for sure.
And football fans. You know, there just is. I don't care what anyone says, but when you're talking about Baltimore, when you're talking about Cleveland, when you're talking about Detroit or Pittsburgh, there's just something different. Just I don't know.
It just means more, like in the SEC.
Yeah, when you're talking about LA or something, I go back to Sergei Fedorov being on page fucking 8 of the sports section.
Yeah.
In the LA Times when he was traded. It was like the biggest news in Detroit sports history that he's leaving the Wings and going to LA, and it's like, well, good luck. And
over there just like
no one gave a shit, dude. There's just so much to do, and when you've just got summer weather year round,
for sure,
it's they don't live and die by that shit. But out here, when you get into the dog days of winter, and football's like it just matters more to people out here. It just does.
It's funny with the Lions having this amazing run. I think about other sports, like when I talk about how I do like soccer and I wish there was like a team I could cheer for. The thing that sucks is in a certain thing with other sports, like you try to get up new leagues. Let's say all of a sudden, you get a professional lacrosse team. I think lacrosse is exciting, but if it's not in our major realm that we've had our whole life, you just can't have the emotional tie. Even though the Lions have never been to a Super Bowl, your whole life, the Super Bowl has been there.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's just one of those things that it means so much more.
Yeah, maybe ESPN will start pushing it like they are everything else. They've got such an agenda. It's so embarrassing.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the fact that they literally just still don't talk about the Lions.
No. We'll get to that in 1 second. We'll talk about that next. Also, Greg Henson coming up. You can't have a Lions breakdown without having one of the premier sports talk radio veterans like Greg Henson is. So I'm sure he'll shit on your team. Don't worry. It's okay. Doesn't matter. At this point, he's a fan like you are.
Here, this guy literally gave 3 high fives to complete strangers at Costco a few hours ago.
Yeah, that's what happens.
That's what happens.
That's what happens. I will say, by the way, if you're going online and buying all your Lions gear, please use radiofor1.com. Use the website. Go there. Click your Amazon link and buy all your Lions gear. Get all your hats and sweatshirts and T-shirts and whatever else you're buying. Just click on our Amazon link and use that. Every little bit helps. If you need some new pillows for rest before the big games and all that kind of stuff, use promo code TDC at mypillow.com. Yeah, but you still need it.
I'm just kidding.
You still need it. And also, link to our Patreon page is there. Thank you to everybody that's been going there. And I will say, I did some Drew and Mike pause over the weekend. I did a bunch of them. And I posted those. Nice. Some of the funniest shit ever.
What was one? Like,
so good.
Which was one of them? Like time frame? What are we talking about? Or what did you?
2002.
Okay.
So it's going back a little bit.
That's good. Some good years.
Some good years. Yeah. And
to me,
like drops playing.
Yeah.
And hilarious Drew, hilarious Mike. Mike Clark, just some great shit. And I know members that are $10 members a month are enjoying that. And I hear from them all the time. They love it. So please go to radiofor1.com and become a member. It's a great way until they stop me. And I don't like to talk about this publicly, honestly. I really don't, because there's always a chance someone goes, "What? You're doing what?" And then he yanks it. But I did sort of get the okay from Drew. He was like, yeah, he was cool with it. He didn't seem to care.
What are you
but
gonna do?
Other people do care.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So I will keep doing that as long as I can. And if you people shut the fuck up and just enjoy it,
Right.
it's the clearest,
That's the key to so much.
clearest high def copy of that shit you're ever gonna get.
Yeah.
So if you were a big fan of that show, you will enjoy some of this stuff. But yeah, the coverage eases. I have it written down here that it's crazy.
I guess you have to lose to get talked about.
I went and watched. Like I started recording. Like I started recording First Take. I don't like ESPN.
Yeah, I know.
So I started recording First Take, Get Up, NFL Network, Pat McAfee. Started recording all this stuff, and I've gotten to the point where I'll watch 20 minutes straight of coverage on Lamar and Kelsey, and they do more coverage on Taylor fucking Swift at the Chiefs game than they do on the Lions.
It is crazy,
dude. I fast forwarded through. Okay, they at the point I gave up, they were an hour and 48 minutes into the game, into the broadcast of Get Up. Hour and 48 minutes of a 2-hour program. They did zero coverage of the Packers game, zero. And they did about, if I'm being generous, maybe 3 minutes, like in between commercial breaks. It was like a quick locker room speech of Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And then like, wow, this is crazy. Did you ever think back to Lamar and Mahomes?
Imagine if they'd done that to the Cubs.
And they did more coverage of the fucking Cowboys today.
They still did Cowboy coverage?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes, they did more Cowboy coverage today.
Oh, my God.
Ridiculous, man. And they didn't do much better on First Take at all. They didn't do much better at all. They did the first hour at least on Mahomes and Lamar. And, you know, and then they get into the race thing, which is just fucking absurd. About all that shit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lamar. Okay. You know, like everyone told him he should be a running back, not a quarterback, because of race. And I'm just like, oh, shut the fuck up. The whole league's black. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't get that.
The guy didn't have an agent. That's the way you don't, like, things went the way they did with him.
He did his own deal, right?
He did his own deal. That's why you don't see him making commercials for fucking State Farm. And the fact of the matter is, you have a tight end in Kansas City making more money a year than Lamar because of that fact. Because he had his mama do his contract.
Yeah.
That's how absurd that is. So you can say what you want. You can blame it on his dreadlocks, like the whole fucking league doesn't have that. No one cares. And what people thought about him pre-draft, you're still bringing that shit up now? Like, just stop. There are lots of guys in the NFL who started at one position and they went, you know what? Mike Sainristil, is it racism that you're not a wideout?
What about Sewell for the Lions?
Huh?
Sewell for the Lions. Isn't he on the other side that he was in college or something? Right side,
maybe.
left side?
I don't know. He was a lineman. He was drafted as a lineman.
No, but I thought they put him at a different.
But this has happened to a lot with big receivers that turn into tight ends, big tight ends that turn into linemen, with average to above average wide receivers that turn into DBs. This happens all the time. And Sainristil is going to get a legit shot in the NFL because of Harbaugh, his conversation with him and his dedication to Mike Sainristil. That's a fact. So this idea that anytime you take a brother and act like, you know what, it might be better off for you to be a DB or a running back, you might make more of an impact in this league. He bet on himself. Good for him. He has every right to do that.
Right.
But that's the reality of the game. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I will say, you know, I haven't planned anything. I wasn't even going to bother today. Today's one of those days where it's like, you know what? This has literally never happened in the lifetime of most people.
Yeah.
Listening to us or listening in general or being a part of this community. And for those of us that have stuck it out here, you know, there were people that jumped off the bandwagon. We're not worried about them today.
According to Dan Campbell, am I one of the ones that Dan Campbell's talking about? I'm not allowed to train?
Yeah, he's keeping receipts. I'm keeping receipts. Like we're all keeping receipts. But there's a lot of you guys out there that went, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, the true fans didn't do that, but a lot of you guys did, and that's okay. We welcome you back. We open arms. It's not like you picked another team in the league and we're like,
well, that's one thing I would say. One thing I have never done, and I will never do.
All right, you want to stand on that hill? Go ahead.
No, is is the teams in my state are my teams. I've never like said, well, now I'm a Dallas fan or
Yeah,
something.
no,
like,
thank God, because you'd never hear the end of it if you pulled that shit.
Or whatever. So I'm saying, like, right now, the fucking Red Wings are doing, they don't have a bad example. They're kind of having an okay year. The Pistons are obviously garbage. They're trash. Yeah. But I'm not going to, like, I don't just become a Lakers fan or a whatever fan. I mean, they're my team. I don't watch any games really right now.
For me, it's football all the way. NFL pro football is just my thing. It goes back to the hand, mouth, butt, vagine, and football. Like that is what it is. So I have no option of bailing. I just don't. But I did get one email
for other states though. Like there's people that literally do just go like whoever the team that won. The
I know fraudulent people like that. Like whoever the it team is. I could name names. No, it's fucking lame as shit. Like, I'm a big Colts fan this year. Or I'm a big Broncos fan this year because they got Peyton. I don't get that, but
you can't when they win, no matter what. Like it will. You're gonna tell me that feels the same as that you just like I've never bought another shirt or a hat of any other.
I'm such a fan of the NFL. I've bought hundreds of shirts of just like cool throwback tees with old logos on them and stuff.
That's different.
Like I've done that. I've got Cowboys shirts and Cleveland Browns shirts and San Diego Padres shirts just for that reason. Like, this is a cool throwback to an old logo. I love that stuff.
But that's like collectible stuff. That's not the same. That's not me going out and buying a fucking, Manning jersey at Denver, and now I'm a Denver fan or some shit. I mean, I did. Well, no, I didn't buy any Detroit LA stuff. Even though I was cheering for him, I never bought a Detroit Rams shit.
No.
I wasn't
I did get, and this is good. This is kind of where my head was at, but I did get an email from our Finnish Scotsman. I can't remember where he's at. I don't think he's local, but he said, Mike, I don't care if you spend the whole friggin' show talking football. This is an awesome game. And I agree. It's a special time. Take it in. And I'll tell you, as a 49ers fan, and you guys all know I'm a 49ers fan and a Lions fan, makes for a stressful week, no doubt. And a million, I'll get into this later. A million people have asked me, like, who are you rooting for?
Right.
Now what do you do? And the remarkable thing is, it hasn't come up in my lifetime.
I know.
Until now. Think about that.
Of course.
With as much parity in the NFL, this situation has never showed itself. Not in a wild card game, not in a divisional game, not in a championship game. Never.
You know what's funny?
It's crazy.
When you talked about the idea, like, you're right, because at first I thought, like, well, yeah, of course, because the Lions have not even won a playoff game. But, like, I didn't even consider, like, I don't watch enough, but I know that San Francisco, like, I hold them in esteem that I wouldn't even consider they would play the Lions in the first round.
Right.
Like, because it would just seem
I get
like,
that.
It would just seem like if you're facing San Francisco, it's in a championship game or something. Like, it's not going to
Which isn't true, but I know the sentiment. I know that feeling.
Sense. They could easily be the fucking number 2 versus 7.
You and Jay and I used to talk about this a lot, and Jay's whole thing was, it doesn't even seem like they belong in the same league. Like, if this was soccer, you'd have different tiers that they'd be dropped
to.
And there's something to that where it's like, can the Lions really compete with the San Francisco 49ers?
Right.
Can they really do that? They can.
Because, like I said,
I'll get into that. We'll get into that with Henson, and I have strong feelings on this, that the Lions absolutely can compete with this 49ers team. And I'm shocked at the amount of Lions fans that are hitting me up going, it's been a nice run, but there's no way we can go on the road in San Francisco win that game. Bullshit. You're wrong. You absolutely can win that game, and it's an insult that the Niners are a 7.5-point favorite.
Green Bay should have won the game. No offense.
Absolutely, they should have.
They I
think I pissed off Ryan. I was trying to be funny, and I was just like, well, congratulations on the win. Like at halftime, I was talking shit. Like, dude, this Niners team looks outmanned, outmatched, and they're being outplayed by this Green Bay squad. And I meant it. They were. And Green Bay shit the bed and gave that game away.
Right.
Hopefully it's rest and rust for the Niners, and they're that's not the squad they've been all year. And I think I pissed him off. He was kind of a dick to me. But whatever. But I meant it. The Green Bay Packers should have won that game.
Yeah.
They should have. They were the better team on Saturday playing the Niners, but whatever. I didn't know Matt Costa was a season ticket holder to the Lions. I didn't even think he followed tackle ball. Did you know that?
No, I assumed he didn't like it.
I thought he just hated football.
I would assume that. I would never have assumed. I would have figured he was a hockey fan for sure, maybe a baseball fan. I would not have figured he was a season ticket holder.
Yeah, wow. And it turns out quite a long time too. I had no idea. I thought he was one of those dudes.
How is that never came up?
Right? That's what I said. So I posted a picture of the poster for the championship game, which is the Lions Niners. They got a picture of each, and I just said, "Who you got? Who you got?" I didn't mean like who you rooting for. I obviously know everyone around here is rooting for the Lions. That goes without saying. But who you got meant like, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, of course.
And Costa jumped in and was like, Lions, fucking Lions all day, and I was like, last person I expected to jump in. I didn't think you followed tackle ball.
Yeah.
And I said tackle ball on purpose.
I do say tackle ball to a lot of people.
Yeah,
now,
it's
by
great.
the way.
And he was like, "Are you kidding me? I was a season ticket holder from '82 to 2001.
Wow.
And then he gave me his section, row, and seat numbers.
That's crazy.
And he was one of those that leapt off the bandwagon. He had enough. As of 2001, he'd had enough. Yeah, no, a lot of people can get that. But I had no idea. So I think there's a lot of people that are coming out now that are thinking along those lines. But
I mean, I only had him for 7 years, I think. But I think my last year was the year before the 0-16 team.
Yeah.
But it was like, I just had Matt Miller. I always remember a very specific time. I went with my buddy Chubbs. And when I actually went without my dad, I could have a few beers. And so I got a little drunk and Chubbs drove me home or whatever. But they had re-signed Matt Millen. If you remember, he got an extension.
Oh, yeah.
And they got their ass kicked that day. And I just remember taking my helmet and just chucking it down. And I don't know what road that is outside of Ford Field, but I just chucked it fucking down. Goddamn fucking extension of Matt Millen.
Yeah,
like, are you fucking,
joke. It's funny, dude. Risa Balam is a chick that I worked with for a few years. She was, running shit over there with the Lions.
Yeah.
She was my contact in the media department, and I love Risa. Risa's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And she was at the game yesterday, and so I don't know when she left the Lions, but she was a really good friend of Barry's.
Okay.
And like a lot of those players, they love her. They still do.
Yeah.
And so her and I have communicated a little bit. I'm like, you were my favorite person at the Lions. And she was, hands down.
Yeah.
She's like, you were my favorite person at Riff. I was like, right on.
What's she going to say, though, Mike?
Yeah, no, exactly. She could be totally full of shit. But Risa and I actually really got along. But she made some post about most exciting team or something along those lines. Since who shall remain nameless was here.
Fuck that guy.
Something like that. It was like, just an absolute shot at Matt Millen and that
It's
time
so
period
weird
with the Lions.
As you're mentioning this now, and it's like, I get it. You could, who knows? They could, like sports, they could fucking have this year and it could fall apart next year. That's how sports are. You technically never know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, that's why you put a lot of stock in organizations.
Right.
Like even when the Pittsburgh Steelers are down, you know they're not going to be down for too long.
Yeah.
There are those organizations, and then there are flash of the pan organizations. And it's, you hope that what's being built here is legit and sustainable, and time will tell.
But my
being on the front end of it is fun.
But my feeling of it is like, it just seems, man, what would it be like to be a Lions fan and no longer have to always quantify like, well, I've been a Lions fan since 75 and they've never done shit. You know what I mean? Like, what if they did something? And then it's like, now that kind of goes away. Like, it's a weird identity of like, being just a Lions losing, guy, SOL fucking fan.
Yeah, SOL. Hopefully SOL goes away.
I think
it's hard.
I've called it dead. I think it's dead. But
well, you're going to need more than a season because 2 years from now you'll be singing a different tune if they start pulling same old lines.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. Next year without Ben Johnson, it's going to be interesting to see what this team does.
For sure.
Because that is a young, very talented. Does it mean you go pay him $10 million a year and hope to keep him here? Maybe.
Right.
The league is. You're seeing what happened to the Eagles without coordinators when they had to rely on Matt Patricia to run their defense, and he's leaving there too. But why don't we call up Greg Henson and see what he thinks? I should have pulled up his number, but I didn't. There we go. And hopefully he answers the phone. I'm a little bit late here.
I'm still, to be honest, I'm legit shocked by that. By this news of Matt Costa being a season ticket holder for that long.
I know.
That's like legit.
Usually I don't like to single people out. I do that a lot in positive ways. But when you're singling out individual listeners, but I was like, I bet nobody knew that. I didn't fucking know that. He's never pulled me aside at an event or something and said like, by the way, dude, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to tackle football too. I had no idea.
Or just like, I get it. With Jay, I get Jay, dude. I had season tickets for this long. Fuck it, I'm done.
It shows you where the Costas stand because when the Costas support something, all in.
Yeah,
they're all in.
No, for sure.
And if they bail on you, boy, do they mean it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get on the Costas' wrong side because Matt, it sounds like, can absolutely go dark on a franchise or a podcast for that matter if things aren't going the way he expects. But
That's
yeah,
true.
it was news to me. Shocking. Anyways, let's call Henson here and see if he's able to chat. I hear they had some outage problems with the broadcast out there in Grand Rapids too.
Oh boy, that would be fucking.
Can you imagine?
Oh.
Unbelievable. Sometimes this lazy fuck can let his phone ring 6 times too. Notice that with him.
Oh.
It's the weirdest thing. I didn't know people could do that, but
I sometimes do it just so I'm always too available, so I try to make people think I'm not just sitting by the phone.
did you give him 2 rings or 3 rings?
Greg Henson.
I'll usually go
You piece of
between 2 and 3. But I always legit
I'm a 2.5 ring guy before I'll answer. I don't want to act like I was running to the phone or anything like
but
that.
the funny, I have such a hard time. They always talk about it with girls. You're texting a new girl, and you don't want to get back to right away.
Yeah.
But I have the hardest time. And it was funny. And then I had some friend tell me one time, well, okay, I get it. You don't want to play games, but just do what you do. I'm like, but my phone's always there.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows me knows I do it to my friends sometimes. I sometimes wait 10 minutes to get back to a text, not because I have to force myself 5 minutes. I can't do 10.
Dude, I used to play that game too. It's really weird because I would well, you don't want to get back. Okay, Greg says 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right. I'll tell him I'll call.
But yeah, I have waited. I have let phones ring before just because I don't want to appear that I was just sitting right there, even though I was.
Yeah. Dude, I used to do that I would think about that petty kind of shit with responses on Facebook or text responses, especially if it was someone cool, someone you looked up to, or it was I don't want to look too eager.
Right.
I don't care anymore. I don't care. If I saw it when it came in, I'll respond.
Well, I also
for
think,
the most part. If I'm busy and I don't get to it right away, that's the only reason why I'm not playing that game. I can text this person back in 5 minutes. I'm not going to act like they're too big time for me. Nah. Well, sometimes I'm done playing that game.
I do it on Facebook now sometimes only because I really value interaction, and I get worried that people, because I'm just right there to respond. And
well, we all are. Basically, we all have our phones in our hands.
But I almost have gotten to the point where I don't want, not even playing a game of I don't want to feel available, but I don't want them to think if I ever comment on Fadey's post, he's just going to comment instantly back. So I try to pause myself because I don't want them to be oh man, if I'm going to leave a comment, that means I'm going to instantly get a fucking a back and forth.
Hey, we should take this couple minutes.
Go ahead.
Before Greg gets here, why don't you? Because you went downtown for the game last night.
Correct.
Or for
not to watch it, but at
a bar. And I don't blame you. It was $400 a ticket or something.
I kept looking at StubHub. I kept hoping that somehow it would plummet.
A $50 ticket would fall out of the sky.
Yeah, but it didn't happen.
No miracles yesterday. So what was the scene like? What was the bar scene like in downtown Detroit?
Oh my God. Yeah, it was crazy. Just packed everywhere. For sure. I got there about hour and a half before the game, and it was just I just packed everywhere.
Hard to find a seat right away, even an hour and a half early?
You could get in everywhere, but it was just packed.
Yeah.
And so it's a thin line of who was going to the game versus, you know what I mean?
Did you cry?
No, I did not cry.
Really?
And I didn't really even come close, I would say.
I wonder if it's because you broke the connection with the team when you bailed on them. I wonder if that's why, it hasn't fully been reestablished yet when you became a traitor.
No, I don't
to the
think
organization.
so, because I basically had a panic attack last Sunday being so
Yeah, that's
concerned.
true.
Literally to the point where I had to go outside and breathe air because I was
yeah.
So I would say what it really is. But again, as I made this big defending of the crying, I always said I never cried for a win. I never sat there in happy tears.
So you had frustration, anger tears.
Frustration, anger tears. More of almost a poutiness from reality. I always wanted to win.
Yeah.
And when my team didn't win, I was mad I wasn't going to get that feeling.
Yeah.
So I've never cried.
It is
tears
like a
over
drug,
team.
man. There's no doubt. That rush. You know.
And I do think in general, I'm not going to say, what's funny? I wouldn't say I don't care about sports as much as I did. I think I do care. But no, I did not come to almost tears. I will say that it was incredible afterwards, though. The town, it was whatever happened last Sunday when they won. I know that was the first win, 30 years, but it was so fucking cold. And, 0 degrees.
That was a late game.
Midnight and shit like that. This one, you're getting out, it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's more 25 degrees out.
Yeah.
It was just, dude, up and down Woodward, just people honking their horns, yelling, just I mean, just absolute. What I would describe as like random yelling. Just you see people walking by,
horns honking.
Yeah, just people hanging out of the apartment windows off Woodward.
Yeah,
yelling out. It was incredible. Walking to the casino afterwards, just everybody in there in lion shit. Everybody happy, smiling. It took me. I didn't even get to the parking garage until 7. You got to think the game ended around 6. I muddled about. 2 hours until I could leave there. Now I go to MGM because it's free. You know me, I hate paying.
Yeah.
So, but 2 hours to move my car.
Wow.
I sat in there.
Yeah, that's reason enough for me not to go.
I sat in there.
I'll root just as hard for my living room.
You know what's funny? I sat in there for 45 minutes. And I'm like, I don't care. Listen to the post game. I'm fucking happy watching social media, whatever. And I'm like, fuck, man, I'm hungry. It hasn't even moved yet. Yeah. I go down to the casino, get fucking food to go from the food court, come back up. The people that were in the car next to me are still sitting. We hadn't even moved. And, and they just laughed. And I'm just holding like a fucking to-go food. And they're just laughing.
Did you have to buy it?
Yeah, I had to. Yeah. Luckily, I won $10 on roulette, so it covered it.
Paid for your food. Did you? Lastly, you made your way to the Spirit of Detroit?
I did.
Which has famously they've had a Red Wings jersey on, is what we most know.
Right.
Pistons jerseys over the years, but I don't know how often they've done a Lions jersey.
I don't think there's ever been a Lions. Maybe they did it in the 90s. I don't remember. I don't ever remember one. It was crazy. It was cool to see.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so it was after the game, dude, and I left. I watched it at Shillelagh. Right after the game, I zipped over to the field because I wanted to see all the crowd and shit. Yeah. Did that, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna walk down the Spirit of Detroit. It's gonna take me hours to get out of the parking lot anyway.
Did you get your pictures with the jersey?
I did. I selfied it for sure. So yep, it was dope, man. It was dope.
Well, it's exciting, no doubt. Let's call Henson. We'll get his 2 cents. How things.
I'm kind of glad I didn't cry, even though I would have been okay with
it. Kool-Aid Hotline.
Kool-Aid Hotline. There he is. Hello, 3G.
Hey, what's up?
How are you, buddy?
Good. I was getting Oyster ready to go to the dog park.
Oh, Oyster's going to the dog park today?
The indoor one right now.
I was going to say, isn't it a little cold and late to take Oyster to the dog park?
Well, we go there from 7 to 8.
Okay.
And I let her run around indoors for about an hour.
Nice.
This place has pizza and beer, brother.
Oh, excellent. Is it good pizza?
Yeah.
I know the beer will be good.
I don't know yet. I haven't had it.
Okay, perfect.
But they have a full menu.
Where are you at? Are you in Grand Rapids?
I'm in Allendale, where Grand Valley is.
Oh, okay. So you're not that far.
No, I drive over to Grand Rapids. It's about 20 minutes.
So were you affected by the outage they had at WOOD TV during the game?
Yeah, I was actually. Wood TV lost their feed. I switched to my to my Fire Stick, but I also have Peacock, which had a different feed too. So But when it went out, I thought it was buffering for a few minutes and it missed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When in the game was it,
dude? So they lost
early.
They lost their coverage at 4:15 local time.
Okay.
So the game started at what, 3:30, something like that.
Yeah, it was about an hour in.
So it's like an hour in, and then they didn't get their power back on until 4:41.
Oh my god!
Yep.
So that must have been a nightmare for local people.
Dude,
can you imagine what those engineer rooms look like, Greg, during that outage?
They were there were probably cigarettes everywhere.
Yeah, like the good old days.
A lot of people were out. It was bad. They've been bitching and complaining, and they've been apologizing all day.
Have they really?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, my God. That has to be a nightmare. I can't think of a bigger thing you'd cover. The Super Bowl? I mean, if you dumped out coverage during the Super Bowl, but the Lions, for the first time in 3 decades, being in this big divisional game, it's a close game, and then the power goes out?
But it was only, and they lost their backup power, too.
Really?
What are the odds?
Yeah, because they couldn't even they had redundancy, according to their general manager. He said, but they lost that too, and they finally got a feed from, I believe, someone down south. They were able to get a feed up on, but yeah,
like
when it
someone
first happened, I was cussing out YouTube TV, thinking, it's buffering. Damn it, I should have just stayed with cable. Blah,
yeah, yep. But it wasn't.
I had 3 different ways to get the feed. I could have gotten Peacock, but I just flicked over to the Fire Stick.
Yeah. So what did you make of the game, Greg? The parts you got to see, obviously, I'm sure you watched all of it, but I mean,
I only missed a couple plays.
yeah. How excited are you? How exciting has this been? I don't know if we could put really into context how big this really is for the city.
It's huge for the city. I mean, we're old guys now. We don't get slappy about sports anymore, do you?
Not really. Not really.
I mean,
no.
I wish they hadn't ruined my whole life of football, because it would have been fun in my 20s to have had this happen more than once.
Well, we had the Wings. The Wings, we sort of know how we would have behaved because we had the Wings during that run. And the
we
Pistons.
Had the Pistons.
Yep, yep.
And we had the Tigers at 84. I was 15.
Yep.
But yeah, the only one left is the Lions for me. I felt good about it. It was fun. I never felt like the game was in doubt, to be honest. Even when it was 10-10, I thought, Baker Mayfield's Baker Mayfield. I like the guy, but I just don't expect him to, Goff lately has kind of taken it to another level in terms of, making plays when he needs it. I love that guy. I love Jared Goff. Always have. Never thought he was going to be a problem.
Well, when they booted him out of L.A., the one thing I think of, and I don't remember exactly what game it was, but it was a playoff game, and he wasn't starting or something because of a broken finger on his throwing hand. He had to come into that game because their starter got hurt. Do you remember this? And
yes, I do.
He gutted that fucking game out as tough as anyone you've ever seen. And I don't think they won, but it wasn't his fault. And it was this kid's tougher than what you normally think out of a Cal Bear,
Well, I'm telling you, I like it better than Stafford.
Really?
Because, Stafford recently has kind of showed his true colors.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm glad that, and when he left, he was dead to me. I don't know what all these people were pining away for. You leave, you're dead to me.
Yeah.
And, I didn't wish ill on him. I don't wish ill on him now. But, God, I'm not as big a fan as I used to be after just, the smugness at the post game. I'm happy for the players.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You're not happy for these idiots who are wearing Detroit Rams T-shirts for you?
Yeah.
Screw you.
How much of that is the behavior of Kelly Stafford, too?
I think it's a lot of it. I mean, that woman is a menace. She's an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's ruined all the goodwill that she built up during that surgery she had, where it was like, you're like, all right, come on, kid, don't beat this thing.
Yeah.
And then she just turns out to be an entitled kind of football wife.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a wife. You're not a player. You're a wife.
And there is something to like, you were of course, the Georgia cheerleader, varsity cheerleader, marries the star quarterback and has the perfect life with all the money in the world. Like, there is something to that. My attitude on Stafford, because I wasn't a Detroit Rams guy. I wasn't saying that. But I was rooting for Stafford to get one. I feel like this organization had been such shit for so long, and that dude played through some gutsy shit, no doubt, and the players loved him, and he never talked shit about the organization or the players or anybody ever, not one time. So I was rooting for him, but his press conferences post-Super Bowl, I thought were fucking classless. And they weren't. They were just like, wow, I've never seen this guy, this kind of talk shit guy. He just never struck me as that way.
But Mike, that tells you he's just another phony. And these fans get all bricked up over players and teams, and they don't know what we know. A lot of the guys are very authentic and real.
Yeah.
The majority of them are phony ass. Say whatever you need to do to get by.
Yes.
And then turn your nose up at that. That's one thing that makes it not as fun for me. The best part about it is I don't think Dan Campbell's ever been that guy.
I don't either. I think
he's always been kind of a good dude, kind of I just want to play football, drink beer, and chase tail, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of guys like that. Jerry Ball was a good dude back in the day. I mean,
Porsche was a great dude.
Yeah, Porsche was hilarious. I really liked Henry Thomas when he was there.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked Mark Spindler, even though he was a hothead dope back in the day.
He was fucking insane. We could both tell Spindler stories. Insane.
I love the guy though, but he is nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, the NFL locker rooms were always the coolest guys. Red Wings and Lions were always the coolest guys. Pistons jerks. Baseball players always felt like bankers.
Yeah.
And so when you see some of these guys, and even the side people, like when media fawns over a team, that's a major turnoff to me. I mean, I'm like, you don't have to be ripping them when they win, but you got to stay diligent and keep your eyes open. Like I see the media, some of them writing the slappiest stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, what's your job?
Yeah.
Your job is not to be a cheerleader. Your job is to be the liaison between the fans and the players, and you're out there waving the flag for it. That's why there's very few I trust.
Yeah, well, we see the same thing in politics. It drives me out of my mind. It's like, did you forget what your job is? To be asking the tough questions for the people. What are you doing? What are you doing running around town waving a banner in every state for fucking Joe Biden? It's insulting. It's so ridiculous. But you know what the thing is, though, with the media, local sports media, there's never been a time in our life that they've been more irrelevant. Like they just are.
That's true.
That's true. They can go into the locker room and be like, "Yeah, what's your favorite color?" And ask those, because they're basically slappy fans anyways. You're never going to get an in-depth anything out of them. You're never going to get them holding them to the fire for something stupid they did. Never.
And it's interesting. There's not much to hold them to the fire for now, but don't go out and find me stupid. Don't tweet things like everyone needs to apologize to Sheila Ham for it. No, they don't. She took the lives of many Lions fans over the years. Her and her family, not her.
Yeah.
But I don't want to hear that. If anything, she should apologize to the fans for it taking 70 years because of her old man.
Yeah, I don't know who you blame there. How do you take a billionaire and tell him to shut up? You're jeopardizing your fortune.
I don't blame her, but she should have some self-awareness and say, "Hey, it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad it's finally here because we've owned this team for a long time, and this is our second and third playoff win in 70 years."
Yeah,
fans. You know what I mean? There's a way to say it without dissing the old man.
Yeah, and that's pathetic. With as much parity as they've gone out of their way to create in the NFL, it makes no sense. I mean, it's almost like. It's like flipping a coin and getting heads every time for 70 coin tosses. Like
Mike, the Niners have won, rebuilt, and rebuilt since the Lions last won a playoff.
Yeah, the numbers are stark. When you look at 11 championship, this is the Niners' 11th. And the Lions for it's not.
Wait,
built
are you
that
talking
way.
about NFL championships too?
No, not. No, I'm not going to dig that hard. But
wait, the Niners don't have 11 Super Bowl. Oh,
no.
NFC
championship games. Yeah. Yep. And they've been competitive most of that time. I mean, even when they have down seasons, they're a 9-win team. You know what I mean? Like
they had one bad stretch after Walsh.
Yeah. Yeah, they did when they had some coaches that were really suspect. You go back to Singletary and.
Well, Singletary was the last bad one because I think Harbaugh replaced him, right?
Yeah, so you had a stretch there. Who did you have the Ducks coach or whatever, and then you had the guy that always wore the tie, Mike something on the sideline.
Oh God, I can't even think of their names anymore.
Yeah, because they're irrelevant.
Yeah.
And then you had what a lot of people thought Dan Campbell was going to be, Mike Tomsula, who was just a fucking meathead like line coach or something that found his way into the locker room, and it was like, oh, are you kidding me? And then they finally got serious with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people took shots at you for when you first started coming on this show, Gross. You took some shots at our coach Dan Campbell, calling him a meathead,
he is a meathead.
He is a meathead. I don't think that has the negative connotation that some people automatically assumed it did.
Hey, when I put a show on the air on DFN with Spindler and Caputo and called it the Monday Night Meatheads. And it wasn't because I thought they were stupid. It's because those guys literally are football, baseball, sports meatheads. All they do is consume it.
Yeah.
And that's what Dan is. He's a big old meathead. I love it.
Yeah. Chip Kelly.
Hey, I'd rather hang out with a meathead than with a bookworm.
Yeah, absolutely. They're way more fun. And nobody can deny that hanging out with Mark Spindler wasn't a fucking blast.
Awesome. It was awesome. It still is.
Yeah. He was going to trash bathrooms. He was.
Oh, yeah.
He was going to rip fucking paper dispensers off the walls. He was going to break a mirror, but
Oh, yeah,
you know,
he was. And then he would apologize and pay for it.
yeah. And God bless him. Chip Kelly is who we were thinking of there.
He was never Niners, was he?
Yeah, he was.
After Eagles, wasn't he?
Yes, in 2016.
Oregon Eagles night, yeah.
So you had
Singletary. Been relevant since Oregon.
Right, exactly. So you had Singletary, Jim Tomsula, Harbaugh, and Chip Kelly. And Harbaugh.
Go back before Harbaugh was a slap fest, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dennis Erickson, Steve Mariucci. You go back that. Yeah. So what do you think? First off, going to the game last night, I mean, not going to that, but just talking about it, did you think that timeout was any big deal that was left on the clock for Tampa Bay at the end of that game? Because it definitely seemed weird.
I would have taken it, but I don't think they were going to score anyway. I mean, Todd Bowles said, "Why prolong the inevitable?" which tells me he forgot he had it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think it's a fireable offense because they would have had 8 seconds left.
No, I think they would have had 16. But the weird thing is, the Lions were not letting the clock run out. They
blame Goff more than anything.
Yeah, but Goff's
you got to step back and wait.
Yeah, I've never seen a quarterback do that, and I've never heard a coach go, they were just going to kick a field goal anyways. It was like, a 49-yarder. Like, what are you talking about?
Kick it.
Make him kick it. Send the whole fucking team after him. What are you talking about? And 16 seconds. Hell, tell that to the 13 seconds. Tell that to the 13 seconds that Mahomes had against the Bills. Are you kidding me? Tell that to the Minnesota Vikings miracle, that they had with seconds on the clock.
Not the end of the world, but certainly suspect. But I mean,
weird,
if you look
just
at
weird.
Todd Bowles, you wonder if there's anyone home there, in general terms.
Yeah. I
mean, Todd Bowles looks like a guy who has no clue what's going on.
Yeah, it just struck me as really odd, and you've never heard a coach say anything except whistle to whistle, and until the family.
Right.
There's never, if you have one, even the smallest bit of a puncher's chance, you take the swing.
Right.
You just do.
And let Mayfield throw it down to Evans and then hope for a pass interference.
Right. Give yourself 1 second on the clock from the 30. And how many guys have done that and made it work?
Right.
It just seemed weird.
Against the Lions.
Against the Lions, yeah. Tell that to Sterling Sharp or countless times. Aaron Rodgers did it numerous times.
Sterling Sharp wide open on back-to-back plays, don't forget.
Yeah. Well, was he? I don't remember the first one.
The first one, Favre overthrew him.
I didn't even know.
And we still
look it up.
Wow, and we still let him get free. I mean, free
Harry Colin. Harry Colin fell down.
Oh wow, yeah. You'll never see a guy more wide open. That's almost such busted coverage that you expect. This is making this catch harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think for next week? You got championship game in San Francisco, not in Detroit. What are your thoughts on that game initially?
I feel like the Lions win or get blown out. There won't be any in between.
Dude, that's so funny you say that because I almost had that thought. I don't see the Lions blowing the Niners out. But you can see a world where Lions get behind quick and the game plan changes and they end up getting blown out. And that sucks.
SOL. That's our CTE.
Maybe that's what it is. Or I see a close game. But
I don't see them falling apart. I see them getting beat by a better team. However, we've seen teams get to Purdy. Purdy makes mistakes.
Yeah, a couple times. He's beatable. He's definitely beatable. Niners aren't beatable. Brock Purdy's beatable. Well, I think the Niners, I firmly believe the Niners broke the Eagles this year. The Eagles' downfall started with that game with the Niners, and they were never the same. Yeah, absolutely. I think my brother and I have been talking about this a lot. The Ravens did something to this Niners team. When the Ravens dismantled them on Christmas night, this team has not been the same. And I was shocked because I made quite a few posts last night about the championship game coming up and all this stuff and asking who you got. I was shocked how many diehard Lions fans with all the adrenaline and emotion of that Lions-Bucks win, the Lions beating the Bucks, how many of them went, well, kind of the road ends here. There's no way we go into San Francisco and beat this Niners team. I think that is totally wrong. And I'll tell you.
I don't think this team's unbeatable.
They're absolutely beatable. They have not. This is not the 49ers team of midseason that looked like the Ravens. They're not.
I would not pick the Lions, but I think there's a puncher's chance to go out there and win. I wanted the home game for that exact reason. I wanted the Packers to do all the heavy lifting so we would see these games in Detroit.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to go on the road and win in the NFL. Don't kid yourself, man.
Yeah, it really is. But, the Lions are playing with house money. The Niners are expected to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl.
Well, Detroit has the better quarterback.
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but...
Oh, come on.
No, seriously, I don't know that I would. I think Purdy...
You're slappy. You're wearing your Niners underwear.
I absolutely am not. I wouldn't have said that with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know that they're about as evenly matched as you can get. Obviously, Goff has a bigger arm, and I think Purdy does a lot of really good things. I think he'd be a different guy if you put him on a team. He's not going to carry a whole team. But if
if Debo's out?
Yeah, that changes shit for real. I mean, that's
50-50 right now. He'll play, I think, but he's 50-50.
He's 50-50. My guess is he tries to go to, and they say he had a hairline fracture in that shoulder back when they had the 3-game losing skid or whatever started with Cleveland. And he missed 3 weeks. So that would put him back in the Super Bowl. This one is not as bad an injury as that. It's not. So he couldn't even lift his arm last time. Now he can lift his arm. So that's why they're positive. He was doing more tests. That's a big loss, but there's still a lot of other playmakers on that team.
Yeah, but all you got to do now is stop McCaffrey, because Ayuk's good. I mean, Kittle, but Kittle's seen his better days.
Yeah, he's still fairly young. He's a problem, but if you gave me one guy, you can take Sam Laporta or George Kittle. George Kittle's blocking is second to none. He's like another lineman out there. But Laporta is right there. And what he does on offense is, I mean, dude, there's something real to that Iowa-bred tight end Like, Laporta's as good as they get. I don't know who I'd take. I'd take both of them over Kelsey, though. Even though Kelsey's amazing.
Yeah, throw up the hard hands again, you little bitch. God, that is so embarrassing, man.
Yeah. Well, he had his girlfriend in the stands.
But grow up, man. That is so embarrassing. I couldn't believe he did that.
Yeah, if you didn't see it, he threw up the heart symbol to the... Was he doing that to the box where his girlfriend was, or was he just doing that?
Yeah, he did it up to Taylor.
Yeah. Well, I look at Christian McCaffrey is a problem. They have 2 other backs on that roster that can also be a problem. They don't see the field much in Elijah Mitchell, and the other guy's escaping my head right now. But they have a real problem there. Ayuk can be a problem. He's almost uncoverable. When they go to him, he's a problem. Debo, if he plays, is a problem. Kittle's a problem. Purdy, we'll see.
Hey, man. If I could have taken one off the field, it would have been McCaffrey. If I could have taken 2 off, it would have been Debo.
Really? Over Purdy?
Yeah, Purdy doesn't concern me.
Really? I
think he's a solid game manager.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Except for that last drive, he wasn't that impressive against the Packers. His numbers looked fine, but...
Yeah, no.
Last drive was impressive.
Last drive was impressive. He made some great... There were 3 or 4 great throws, but... The rest of that game was garbage, and the Packers should have won. The Packers should have won that game. And I'll tell you this, dude, if I'm a Lions fan, now outside of the home field versus on the road, I think the Lions match up better with the 49ers than the Packers.
Well, I don't know. Everyone's freaked out about Thanksgiving Day, but
yeah,
the Lions did go to Lambeau and kick their face in.
Yep.
So it's 1-1. This would have been the rubber match. But either way, you're going to have to beat somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Goff had a good day, too. He's been amazing. 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Is that enough to beat that San Francisco defense?
As long as you don't get picked, you got a shot, I think.
Yeah.
Don't turn the ball over, and he's done a really nice job of that the last month.
Yeah. He really has. I will say this, and this can't be downplayed. When Purdy's looked his worst, it's been Cleveland in the rain and San Francisco in the rain, right? Next week in San Francisco is going to be 68 degrees and absolute sunshine.
Oh, beautiful.
So you're going to get a clean game. Now, that's not always guaranteed in the Bay Area in January. You're going to get...
and I still don't know if I believe it.
What's that?
And I still don't know if I believe it.
What? That the rain won't come in?
That it's gonna be sunny.
Yeah. Well, it usually is sunny, and that's like there's a window of like 4 or 5 days in a row where it's just absolute sun. No partly cloudy, absolute sun. So I'd be shocked if in the middle of that 4-day run they're that wrong. So my guess is you're going to have 65, 68 degrees and sunshine, which I think bodes better for the Niners than it does the Lions. I think the Lions are built to be able to play in whatever. I think Goff has proved himself that he can still wing a ball in shittier conditions. So I think
you think they're mutters?
A little bit. Yeah, absolutely. But I think the Lions have something that travels really well. They have a run game, and they've got an offensive line. Goff is a statue back there. Goff doesn't get out of anyone's way, ever.
No.
So if that pass rush gets to Goff, you got problems. If that offensive line keeps him upright and gives him time, the Niners have problems.
Right. So it's strength on strength there.
Yeah, yeah. So in 68 degrees and sunny, I mean, I don't know who exactly that favors, but the Niners secondary can be beat. Those linebackers are a real fucking problem in Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. Those guys are no bullshit. And while the city of San Francisco is very, very soft, that team brings it. They hit hard, they go to the ball quick, and they're as fast as anyone on defense, you know?
Yep. You just got to hope they don't bring their A game and the Lions do. Then you got a shot. I mean, this isn't a vintage classic Niners team, but it could be one of the best two teams in the league with Baltimore. I mean, a Baltimore Niners matchup is definitely, I mean, I don't know. It
Baltimore wins. Baltimore wins.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a bad matchup for the Niners. I'm hoping, here's the way I look at the NFL, and you know this too. Teams are built to win their divisions and their conferences. They're not worried about what the other conference is doing, knowing that if push comes to shove, they only got to face one of them. And so Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, what Miami's trying to build, those teams are only concerned about those teams. They're not worried about what Dak Prescott's doing or Jared Goff or Brock Purdy. They're just not. And so there's a real chance that the Kansas City Chiefs could, because of that, could be a real problem for the Baltimore Ravens, even in Baltimore. So,
maybe. No, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. And so if that's the case, I think the Lions match up great with Kansas City. I think the Niners do too. I think anybody in the NFC faces Baltimore, it's a real problem. Real problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the job gets real now. I mean, the Lions had it easy with the Rams and the Bucks, two lower seeds.
Yeah.
Now it's going to get real. But that's what you got to do to win a Super Bowl, man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think the Lion defense is built to win it yet.
Yeah, but you're probably right. But they've been playing better ball.
They need another corner, clearly.
Yeah, but who doesn't? Everybody needs another corner.
Yeah.
That's
true.
So, and God forbid, the worst thing they could do is go get one in the draft. Don't do that. Go steal one.
No,
go steal
not in the first round.
No,
right.
No. Go buy a corner from someone like everyone's done to you over the years.
Right.
That's what you do.
They tried that with Sutton. It didn't work out.
Yeah, and what do you think about Sutton? Because he's probably going to be matched up with Ayuk.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what happened. I feel like he was pretty solid early in the year, and then things kind of went downhill for him. Hey, we're at the dog park. I'll keep talking to you, but I said bark.
Yeah, that's okay. I won't keep you much longer. I did have
that's okay.
Okay, good. I did have a couple emails for you.
Oh boy.
But I'll get to those. I'll get to those in a minute. Why don't we we'll get back to the Lions here, but
I gotta just check her in. I'm good.
You got to check her in. You got to do that real quick. I can talk amongst myself.
Talk amongst yourself. Come back to me in 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
All right, do you want me to call you back?
Call me back in 2.
Okay, I'll call you back in 2. All right, Jesus, what am I missing here?
What do you mean?
In the coverage. What is there anything you think needs to be addressed?
I'm the worst fan. You guys know, like you guys talk. You guys actually know what you're talking about. I like sports. I think I'm not certainly not. If you went to the mall and you pick 10 people, I think I know more than total Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough. Those names you're saying, I don't know who's on other teams. You know what I mean? I'll use this as an example. I always remember this from my Rift days. Because Mark's such a obviously Michigan dude.
Yeah.
And Michigan had a good basketball team. A few of those, they were starting to get a little better. They had kind of a decent team.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yep. Coach Fisher.
I watched. Oh no, this would have been 2000 when I was an intern, like 2010ish or something.
Oh,
Like that. They had kind of
okay.
okay team that year, I guess. Right. I think Penny Hardaway Jr. might have been on it or something. Point is though, I watched a lot. I actually was not. I always watch Michigan basketball. I couldn't. And Mark tested me when he said, "Can you name the starting 5?" I think I named 1.
Yeah.
And so finally, I went home one weekend and I memorized the starting 5. I just don't remember names. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know
I
very
was the
well.
kid growing up that wanted to know who the assistant coaches were.
Yeah.
And I haven't stuck up with that my whole life. Jay and I in high school.
I remember you talking about
Yeah,
this.
we would literally do that. We had a Shakespeare class together.
Yeah.
And we would sit there and go through all the head coaches, and that was so easy. We were like, okay, offensive coordinator, go. And we would just rattle down all 30 at the time, probably 30 teams, and who their offensive coordinators were, defensive coordinators. And so I was that kind of guy. My memory is shit, I feel like now, honestly, and I don't remember what I used to. But there's a reason when we did Stump the Staff that I was the 49ers expert.
Right.
Why would the 49ers be a subject in Stump the Staff on the Drew and Mike show?
Right.
It was because
going to call up and
right.
reality, but,
It was because of me, because I knew a lot about those teams and those players.
I would say I had one period in my life where I really was trying because I wanted to do sports radio for a long time, and I really tried. I got the back in Sporting News, not even because Sporting News used to be more nerdy about sports. I always thought Sports Illustrated was almost like the People magazine of sports, Sporting News magazine. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember.
That was
Sporting News.
actual, they would try to dive into injury reports and stuff.
Yeah.
And I tried, man. I tried. I was gonna read every week and study, and I'm gonna know who these. I just couldn't do it.
You can do all the research in the world, and it still doesn't really help you. You don't end up knowing more.
Yeah, but I can do Simpsons quotes out the ass. I can do fucking. By the way, I'll agree with this. This guy Eric E talking sports is cringe. I'll agree. I'm a step above your.
You didn't really talk sports, though. You talked about the environment,
right?
The city.
But that's how I am, though. I'm right above a local sports person. I mean, I don't think I'm as corny as them on Fox 2 going. Oh, what a game down at Ford Field. It must be so fun, Dan, to be. I mean, I think I know sports enough that with an average fan, I can discuss oh, damn, they should have ran there, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough to to get into what you're at. So when you ask someone like me, am I missing something? I don't know.
Well, I wonder if there was a big moment in the game where it's oh yeah, I can't believe you guys didn't bring up.
You got the timeout. That was the big one to me.
Really? Yeah, I thought that was bigger than they're giving it credit for. Now, what I was trying to say, but I never got out is
go ahead.
That could have easily been something where, because there's no doubt. I don't think Jared Goff is dumb enough to just be snapping the ball with 30 seconds left. That could have been a nod from coach to coach. We recognize it's over. I'm not going to take the timeout. Just kneel away.
That's what someone suggested today, I heard.
Knowing
maybe there's some coach in there and they looked at each other and we're
just
done.
Said, take the knees. We're good. Because Goff has been in the league way too long than to just be recklessly, and it would be reckless to be taking knees.
Right.
He
almost didn't know they were supposed to take knees the last game.
No.
The package came in. He's like, oh, shit.
Well, we were all kind of confused. That's weird. You don't usually see that with 1:43 on a clock.
Yeah.
It's wait a minute. Are they 35 seconds or it's 40 seconds on the play clock? What is it? It's always been weird.
I'll say this real quick and before you get him back on there. I'll say a case where I was wrong, and I guess in the end, when they went for it on the 4th and goal and ran the touchdown in. I love Goff. I love him, and I'm okay with living with Gamble, Dan Gamble. But I'll say I 100% in the bar was sitting there no, dude. In this instance, take points, dude.
Yeah.
It's 10-10.
Yeah.
Take points.
Well, running it there and having Craig run that in. Yeah. It was great. It was great. When it works out, it's awesome. It's a brilliant move. I get it.
And like I said, he does what he does. At least he sticks to what he believes in.
Yeah.
You can't fault him for that.
Yep.
So
All right, I'm dialing. I'm
Yep.
calling Greg back here. Get him back on. We don't have much longer, anyways.
I'm just more an emotional guy. That's what it is.
I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
What's up, my man?
What's up, brother? Is Oisty all checked in?
She's all checked in, and now, and I ran out of the room for a minute, and she's up on her hind legs looking for me.
Ah, yeah, that's great. I love hearing that. All right, well, we won't keep you that much longer. I don't have that much longer to do a show. So I did want to...
No worries.
Yeah, good. I don't know if you watched any of the coverage today, but I recorded purposely...
Is that loud?
Oh, yeah, just a tad.
Let me go outside. Hold on.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right. People love the roofs. They love hearing the guys going crazy.
There's like 20 of them in here running around. I'll step outside. That's okay. There's an outdoor part too.
Oh, awesome. So I started the last couple weeks, anytime we get down to the seriousness of the postseason, I started recording Get Up. So I'm not an ESPN fan. I'm a lot like you. Started doing the Get Up, First Take, Good Morning Football.
Hold on, I'm almost to the outdoor door.
Okay, yeah. Oh, good. I thought you were going to say you were outdoors.
No. There's no one out there. We're going out there right now.
Okay.
There's an outdoor part too. Come on, Oyster. Come on. Oh, hilarious. There's a big pit bull just barking his brains out.
Yeah, of course.
All right, that's better. All right, we're out.
So I was saying I'm getting all these things from Pat McAfee to Get Up to First Take to Good Morning Football. I tell you, on Get Up this morning, I fast-forwarded through it because I don't give a shit. They want to blow Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson all day. Fine.
Yeah, fine.
Dude, an hour and 48 minutes in when I finally gave up. They're a 2-hour show, an hour and 48 minutes. They literally only covered the Bills and Chiefs game. They did a 3-minute segment in the middle on the Lions between commercial breaks and never mentioned the Niners-Packers game.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be. Is that just because there were foregone conclusions? I mean, everyone picked the Lions to win yesterday.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's just, I don't understand, like, really? You guys can't have, I understand you're going to cover Mahomes, God forbid, and Jackson the most. Fine. You want to give them an hour and 20 minutes and give the other teams 40 minutes? But, dude, an hour and 50 minutes into your show and you've literally done zero coverage on the Lions haven't been there in most people's lifetimes. That's not worthy of some coverage. It seems highly disrespectful to me.
You know what, though? Don't you think that's kind of earned by the Lions over the last 33 years?
Yeah, but
no offense, but facts are facts, right? And is it really that big a story to the rest of the world, or is it just us?
No, I think it is a big story. And don't you think what they've done this year has earned some of that press? I keep waiting for it to happen.
But my point is maybe we're the only ones who give a damn about the Detroit Lions. You know, I don't know. I don't see anyone outside of Detroit pining away for the Lions to win. And I know the Niners have a big fan base, like Kansas City does. And the Bills Mafia, I'm so glad they lost. I hate those bastards. Them and their stupid jumping on tables.
Yeah.
You know, I hate them.
Wide right. I felt bad for him, honestly, for right.
I felt great. I laughed my ass off.
Dude,
but I'm a heartless son of a bitch.
Oh, we've got some listeners here that are big Bills fans. And so I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a shit to see Mahomes go again or to see, whatever. So fine, let's have the Bills roll. It'll make some listeners happy. I was just fine with that.
I'm not shedding any tears for Buffalo.
I hear you. I get it. They're another blue-collar city. They're like Pittsburgh.
Who've been to 4 Super Bowls. Shut up.
Yeah, but wide right, really? That just seems like an extra shot.
It was so delicious, though. I might or might not have popped a chubby.
Little bit of a chubby.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't mind the disrespect. That's fine.
No.
I mean, at some point you keep winning.
It's always been that way. Back when the Pistons were champions, they did everything they could to diminish those titles.
Yeah.
Look at the disrespect for the '84 Tigers. No one in the Hall of Fame until Jack Morris went in.
Yeah. Do you think Lou eventually gets in? Because Tram's in now, right?
Do you know what pisses me off? I was screaming for Lou to be in the '90s when the Fan was on the air.
Yeah.
And everyone I worked with, Stoney, Jamie, all of those clowns were like, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not a Hall of Famer. All of them, to a man. The only two who thought he was were me and Art.
Really?
Because, we actually watched them.
Yeah.
Then analytics came out, and now they're all screaming to have him in. I'm like, I don't need analytics. I watched him.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it never made sense. Like, you can put Allen in, but you can't. Like,
Never.
You can't have one without the other. It's kind of like the college football playoff this year. If you're
And Lou
putting
was
Bama
lethal.
in, you got to put Texas in. You just
And Lou was lethal with the bat, and
Yeah.
he hit for power.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear anything about, that. And I always argue the Ozzie Smith thing. Yeah, he was great in the field, but he couldn't hit a lick.
Yeah, but he could do backflips.
Yeah, on every week on this week in baseball.
Exactly.
That's what got him in the hall right there.
Twib. You're absolutely right, dude. That's so funny.
Yep, exactly, and that's
Yeah.
why he's in the hall. Good
And-
defensive player, but I thought it was supposed to be excellence all around.
Excellence
And
all
Trammell
around.
was both.
Well,
And then they used to say, but Trammell couldn't get to balls. Ozzie did. And I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? That isn't even a viable statistic.
Yeah. Well, you make an argument that Joe Namath deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and I'll listen, because the guy lost more games than he won. I mean,
Yeah, I don't.
You talk about Ozzie Newsome because of Twib and doing backflips on the field, getting into the Hall. One fucking smart ass cocky comment laying
Drunken.
poolside drunken before the Super Bowl. We're going to win the game. I guarantee it.
Yeah,
That's
right.
it.
And,
That's
and then
his
what
moment.
happens if you don't win? What's the guarantee? Are you going to cut your nuts off? I mean,
Yeah.
what is the downside?
There's none downside. It's why it's like I'm leaving the country if so and so's elected.
Okay.
Great. We should hold you to that then. We should.
Then
force that.
and there's nothing you can do. I mean, that's like all these Lion fans who are like, I knew they were going to the Super Bowl this year. I'm like, number one, they're not there. Number two, no, you didn't. And you said it, but it doesn't. There's no consequence for being wrong. Everyone just blurts shit out of their ass.
They're always wrong too, and I don't care
Yeah.
how much. Ian and I were talking while you were setting Oyster up there. It doesn't matter how much research you do, how much you look into the stats, how much
No.
you know about this player's typical performance in wet games versus clear games. None of that shit matters, and you can be just as wrong, just like you and I can, and anyone else. So,
Yep.
why don't we leave on this note? I think JJ McCarthy leaving Michigan is a giant mistake for him.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think but here's the thing. He can still develop at the next level. He's just not going to get to do it on the field.
Yeah, and he's going to be
I mean,
drafted way lower than he would next year, probably.
Now, see, that's where I wonder. Somebody knows something, and I think he goes in the top 20.
You think he goes top 12 this year?
Top 20. I don't think he gets past 19. Is that Minnesota?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think someone's going to take him just because, dude, he's 47-1. He's a winner.
Oh, I think he's got NFL talent written all over him, but what became clear against really top talent was there's still some work to be done.
Of course. Yeah, I agree.
Now-
He should have come back. But I just wonder what he knows. Does he know what's going on with Harbaugh? Is he because he was making good money at Michigan and he could make $1 million this year? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. Unless you're absolutely right. Without Coach Harbaugh there, that's a different story. And without those other weapons, it doesn't do him any favors if he plays on a 10-2 team next year.
Well, and you've seen the schedule.
Yeah. Yes.
So I mean, it's going to be a 10-2 or a 9-3. They're rebuilding or reloading with the toughest schedule in the country by far.
Yeah. So maybe that's part of his decision is like,
I think it is.
Why not go out with 13 wins and a national natty? That's
15 wins.
15 wins and a national.
47-1, 15-0 this year, national title. I mean,
yeah.
He's not going to hurt himself. He's going to go in the first round, but he might have been a top 5 pick next year.
Well, now that I think about it, yeah, the best case scenario, he goes number 1 next year to an absolute dog shit franchise.
Yeah, with a Heisman.
Yeah, win a Heisman, which is a big deal. I won't negate that. But yeah, you're right, dude. If he goes drafted 20, now you're talking about the Ben Roethlisbergers and the Aaron Rodgers.
And Jordan Love, who can go sit on the bench for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And by the time he's 24, he's going to have his own team, and if he's good enough, he'll have it for 15, retire, and have a nice life.
Would that make sense?
If it works out.
Would that make sense for the Lions to look at someone like him?
Yes.
I mean,
Now,
I haven't thought about it
problem
until right this second, but wouldn't that make perfect sense while you got Goff here for a few years?
Right, you're going to re-sign Goff, and then he could sit there. But then again, they'll say they already have Hooker.
Right. Yeah, but Hooker's,
so maybe not.
Hooker's already like 30 years old, so.
Well, no kidding. But yeah, I mean, the Lions at some point will have to draft an heir apparent. I don't think you're going to do it in the first round, though.
Yeah,
and JJ's going to go in the first round.
Yeah, I was going to tell a Malik Hooker story, but I won't. I'll tell you that
off the air.
Off the air.
So you're going to tell me about where Troy went?
No, I don't know. I don't know where he is.
What a great question.
I don't know where he is. He's doing his
watching.
thing.
Okay, is he watching his daughter do stand up? Is that where he is today?
Probably.
Oh,
yeah.
Troy, T-Roy.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people love T-Roy, and
rest in peace, T-Roy.
So
rest in peace.
Hey,
he's dead to me, just like
he's
Matt
dead
Stafford.
to yeah, he's Matt Stafford.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I swear, I'm not trying to change the subject, but I wanted to get your thoughts finally on this. After J.J. McCarthy, Coach Harbaugh's the next thing. Did you see the comments he made over the weekend?
No.
So he gave some half-assed interview in a tent wherever he was. He was at some Republican, pro-life rally.
Oh yeah. I know he was at the March for Life.
Yeah. So he made some comment about passing the torch. And a lot of people looked at that as Sharon Moore. Oh, it must mean he's leaving. And he's passing the torch to Sharon Moore. I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it like passing the torch, like it's time to move on to the next team. It's time to move on to the next quarterback. It's time to move on to spring ball. That's what I thought by passing the torch. Like, we're not going to live on a national championship. That doesn't do us any good next year.
It's 50-50 he stays or goes right now. I don't think he knows. I know he doesn't have any NFL offers yet, and I don't know that he'll get them. I talked to some connected people last week, and they were saying, look, number one, it's up to Jim. If he wants a contract, he can have it, but he doesn't want it right now.
Why wouldn't he want it right now?
Because he's interviewing, and he wants to see what's out there. They would put the contract in front of him tomorrow if he'd sign it.
Don't you think he's a name it coach? Name it, whatever you want. You want new facilities? You want new training facilities? You want new...
Yes, but he knows if he names it, he's got to sign it.
Right. True.
And so he's not ready to sign. So he's going to drag this out. And, I don't know. I'm growing tired of it. I still hope he comes back, but it is getting tiresome.
Well, that's a little different take than you've had in previous weeks, where you seemed, out of all media people I know, you seemed way more sure and certain that he was coming back to Michigan.
I talked to some people last week that kind of convinced me that it wasn't a sure thing. I still think if I had to pick, he'd be at Michigan next year.
Okay.
But I think for the first time, I'm kind of seeing the light that here's the thing too. You need to find a team that's willing to put up with the weirdness.
Yeah, no doubt.
And a lot of owners are weird themselves, and they don't want another weirdo in the building.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, the Niners couldn't take it with him.
I know. He's weird.
His weirdness was the problem. It was the problem.
And here's the other thing: he needs to go to a team that has a 2-year window. And right now, the Chargers have a 1-year window.
Yeah,
because they have cap hell after this year.
Yeah,
and so he needs to find the perfect opportunity, and I don't think it's coming. I really don't. Number one, the Chargers are notoriously cheap. They're not. Here's the thing: if I'm a Lion fan, they're coming for Ben Johnson for my money because he's half the price.
Yeah. Well, that's the other interesting thing as far as the Lions go. Who knows? And I've listened to a lot of Bay Area people. I may have told you this once, but I like to listen to a lot of sports writers and reporters out in San Francisco. And and those guys were having an interesting roundtable one day, weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and they were talking about the Lions. And they were like, if I'm the Lions, I get rid of Coach Campbell and I hire Ben Johnson as my head coach.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'd never heard anybody have that take, though, and I was like, wow.
You know what, though? That's an easy take to have 3,000 miles away.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting on the air here and even suggesting that right now.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that's a smart move, but there's no doubt there's something special about some of the stuff he draws up. We're seeing
as an OC.
As an OC, yeah. And the head coach
because Dan does head coaching things. He's not an OC, so to say that is, I think, kind of weak, just because you know how that goes. It's not the same job.
Not at all. It's not. No, you're right. Do you think there's any chance Ben Johnson comes back?
If they get to the Super Bowl and lose, maybe.
Yeah.
But I doubt it. He's going to go make $8 million somewhere.
Yeah. I mean,
even if he's an abject failure, he'll have life-altering money.
Can't you be the Lions? And there's no cap on a coach. Why wouldn't they just go? We'll give you $6 million.
Billionaires.
We'll give you $6 million a year. Yeah, you could make 8, but then you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Right.
You're here. Let's finish this. Let's finish it. Here's $6 million a year. Don't go anywhere.
Well, the Fords are billionaires. They can pay whatever they want.
Right.
And it's a family-owned business. They can do whatever they want. But I don't know, man. These guys have monster egos. Ben Johnson wants to go be a head coach and prove it. You know what I mean? Just like Harbaugh wants to go win a Super Bowl and prove it. Yeah. So, it's the monster egos.
Yeah. No, I get it.
It is. What are the emails you had?
Okay. I've got a couple here. I think Shit, hold on. I've got
You got to be way more organized, man.
Yeah, I thought I had this pretty well organized, but I didn't. No, I was looking for one in specific. Someone was asking about you playing high school football.
Oh, I played in the state championship game, right?
Wow, did you really? Did you play at Athens or against Athens?
Against Athens.
Okay, so someone was like,
that's a running joke on the show here. I always bring up, I played in the state title game, like anyone gives a shit, right?
Right. Yeah, Al Bundy.
But that's when I pull out my cred card. State title, bitch.
Did you guys win it?
No, we lost Traverse City. 85 season.
Now I got a question for you. How did you get a helmet that could fit that fucking head of yours? Like, did you go to like the Thanksgiving parade people to make your helmet?
No, they took a mold of my balls, they're huge balls, and dropped it on my head.
You literally have the biggest cranium, and I don't mean like your ego. I mean your physical cranium.
Jamie's was way bigger. Mine's 7.5. Jamie's 7 3/4.
You're not 7.5, are you? You're bigger than that.
No, 7.5.
Wow. Okay.
Jamie was 7 3/4. We used to call that him the head.
Yeah, he was the head, dude. No doubt. I worked with Jamie for 2 years, and that head was fucking massive.
And we used to bust his balls about it all the time.
Yeah,
it was only massive because he had every hair he was born with.
Yeah, that's true. And his nose did its best to distract from the size of that head, but even that failed.
Yeah, but mine is not. Mine's just average. But I'm telling you, as I lose weight, my head's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Now it looks like a satellite orbiting my fucking body. Oh, yeah.
Are you taking a lot of roids? Are you Barry Bonds in it?
Oh, big time. I'm shooting up.
Attaboy.
No, I'm on that Mounjaro stuff for my diabetes.
Oh, I'm trying to get on that. How's that working for you?
It's brilliant. It keeps your blood sugar flat.
Really?
Oh, I'm telling you, it's a game changer, dude. It's a game changer. You don't have to worry about the fluctuations, which are the dangerous parts.
Dude, they've been jerking me around for 2 months on this stuff.
But you're diabetic. It shouldn't be a problem.
No shit. It's crazy. Thank you. I need to call them again tomorrow.
I'll give you $1,000. You give me $1,000 a pen, I'll give you 3 I got left over.
hard pass on that, but I will get on. That's the one they want me on is Mounjaro. So
it's a game changer. It's amazing.
Okay, good to know. All right. This one, Triple G2. I guess I'll root for the fixed, predetermined NFL Lions, but they need to string a few Super Bowls together back to back for me to really give a shit like I did when Barry was running. They still haven't done anything yet. Let's see how they handle Tampa Bay. Well, they handled Tampa Bay.
I'm not that hardcore.
No, that's next level right there.
But you know what?
Back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy
because it's very common.
Right.
No, my point is I just, as you get older, you lose the passion you had in your 20s. And, so it's like, okay, yeah, fun. But I'll tell you, when they were tied 10-10, I didn't think they were going to lose. But if they would have, I wasn't throwing stuff at my TV. I was going to go get a burger and go to bed.
Yeah, I would have too. I would have been really disappointed because they would have shit the bed. That would have been a same old Lions move to take a subpar team and not handle business at home. I was never really that worried. I wasn't.
No, me neither.
I had moments during the Packers-Niners games where I was texting Packers fans going, congrats on your win. This team didn't show up today. They look outmanned and outmatched, period.
But you're not crying in like these videos of people crying. Grow up.
No. No. And I have quite a few people bitching about you. I don't have them in front of me. I'm sorry, dude.
About what?
About the crying thing. A lot of people are like, tell 3G to shut up. He's full of shit. This reminds me of my dad who had season tickets for 150 years and my grandfather, blah, blah, blah. So I was right about that. There's a lot of people that feel that way.
Let me tell you what. everyone's parents die, everyone's grandparent dies. Wham!
Yeah.
Come on. Move it to the next generation. Deal with your kids. Don't look in the past. My parents are both dead.
Yeah.
I mean, shut up. Be a man. Man up. Reach down and grab your balls, as Matt Millen said.
Okay.
Oh, Matt Millen. Yeah, that's what I want to take.
Remember Matt?
Yeah, Matt Millen was great. Oh, we love Matt.
Matt Millen calling players gay, telling them to grow a set.
Yeah. He was a real piece of work. He was a real piece of work.
But you know what's funny?
What?
He's a real nice guy. He
I'm
really
sure
is.
he is. He sounds like someone who'd be great to have a beer with and watch a game.
I'd run into him at Michigan games all the time. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah. Well,
he just didn't know the first thing about running a football team.
No, he didn't. And that became evident,
And you know what? Blame the Fords, not him. He just took the money.
So, yeah, exactly. I'm going to have to, and by the way, the entire city and the fucking talking heads nationwide agreed with that decision when they made it. Let's be clear.
True.
They all did. They could all go like, "What are you, an idiot?" after the fact.
Yep. He's
nobody
really because he was all their buddies.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
He was in the booth with them.
Yep.
And that's why.
So someone wrote in last week and called you Triple G, and then said something about, I don't care about some faggot crying, blah blah blah. And I was like, whoa, you can't call him that. His name's not Triple G, it's 3G. So therein lies the joke. I didn't address the faggot part. I only addressed 3G versus Triple G.
I don't get it. What's Triple G gay for?
It's not gay for anything. But he was talking about people crying at the blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I called that out as if that would be my only complaint about the email, was saying Triple G instead of 3G. Therein lies,
oh, yeah. You didn't address that.
I didn't address the faggot part, right?
Okay, I got it.
So therein lies the joke, but apparently this guy didn't pick up on that. He says 3G, Triple G, G3. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like,
meanwhile, he's being a major homophobe. Right. Hilarious.
When I say fag, I don't mean like Garrett, for fuck's sakes. Now, Garrett is a gay guy who's a listener, and
right, I know.
Yeah, okay. I mean, too happy to the point of being queer. Simmer down, Isis. I wasn't
it's how it used to be meant back before we turned it. People turned it into a gay thing. It used to be happy and
Yeah, exactly. Simmer down, poopsie Isis. I wasn't ragging on you, even if I did cry, which I know you didn't. Even if you did cry,
Why is he freaking me into this?
I wouldn't rag on Biggie. He's the only one that even talked to me at the meet and greets. Well,
I don't know who that is. I don't know what...
So now he's taking a shot at me like I didn't talk to him at a meet and greet we did? Come on. I talked to everybody. This listener.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So this is a jaded person at this point. This is
Nancy up, Pony Boy. What's wrong with him?
Yeah, exactly. And he's a hardcore listener, so I don't want to rag him too hard. But
I can rag him though.
Yeah, you can say anything you want. I talk to everybody at the meet and greet. So if you did that, James, you were hiding from me then. So, plus he's grown up before our very eyes. Talking about Isis, he cried when he lost a one-on-one basketball game at Riff, and I don't rag him for that.
I did not cry after that loss, but whatever.
Yeah, I know the engine is Native American like the rest of us. Yeah, that's why all the jokes are flying over your head. Sorry, this is going in the weeds here. I hope he's just funny, not political chow for now. Well, that's my joke.
Yeah.
So anyway. But yeah, I got a lot of people that are like, fuck Greg Henson for even saying that. I love the guy, but you could cry.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
No, I'm drawing a hard line. on this one.
Okay.
No.
That's fine.
No.
I'm shocked Isis hasn't cried yet. I honestly am. I thought
Who?
He's sitting here.
Well, I mean,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, even though I'm for it, as we discussed last week, I don't care. I'm shocked that I haven't gotten that level of emotion.
You cried last week, though. You got it all out.
No, you know what? I never did. I never ended
You just had a good cry.
I never ended up crying. I cried when I got home. No, I'm just kidding. I never cried in the end, even though I was...
Sounds like it, you did.
Here's the thing, Greg.
I would tell you.
Here's the thing I'll say about Isis. No matter how embarrassing the moment, he will be honest, even if he looks like shit. I sent him to a men's jack-off club in San Francisco. He got naked and watched 70 men in a room jack off together, okay?
Oh, boy, I bet he was in heaven.
Yeah, he was. That guy, I was doing the Anthony Cumia, show in New York, and he was sharing a hotel room with me. and didn't want to stink up the room, so he tried to go down 22 flights of stairs and take a shit in the lobby. Didn't make it and shit on the floor, and told me about that.
Oh my God!
So this is my point being, this is a guy who absolutely would tell you if he cried after a game.
To the situation.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You should listen to the stories. They're 5-star, dude. 5-star.
Oh, you got to tell me some.
Oh yeah, I will. Anyway, Greg, why don't we talk again next week? Why don't we plan on that?
Okay.
And this has been a lot of fun, dude. I didn't even expect to go this long. So
no worries, man. I'm Oyster Girls ready to play.
Yeah, go play with Oyster. And it's real now. Championship game and Super Bowl, all that's left, man. I never thought that we'd be talking about this in our careers on air.
It's hard to even comprehend it. It's hard to even comprehend.
It really is. It really is. If you went down the rosters of some of the teams we've covered and talked about and lived through, it's quite remarkable. So it's exciting. It doesn't last long, so enjoy it, Lions fans. Greg, thank you so much for the time today.
All right, guys.
Anything you want to plug or mention?
No, GregHenson.com, Twitter, Greg Henson.
3 G's, GREGG, GregHenson.com. There you go. Thanks, Greg. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care, man.
Okay,
Bye.
buddy. Bye. He's great.
I to be honest with you, I didn't feel like going down the fucking fight on the crying thing. You know, you mentioned the emails. He responded to that. That was enough for me, and I haven't cried actually.
I'll give Greg Henson this: when he says something, he means it, which is why
I agree with that.
Why I'm surprised. Something's going on at Michigan. I don't know if he's being totally honest with us there, because he has been like, he's going nowhere.
Yeah,
he's going to retire at Michigan. Blah blah blah. Maybe the money's too big. I can't imagine Michigan could pony up just as much as the Ford family can.
Yeah, I'm sure, right.
I don't know why there has to be a mold, where it's like, oh, yeah, the top coach tops out at $15 million a year. Why?
I think it's just because he's fucking Jim Harbaugh. You know what I mean?
He's a fucking weirdo, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I think he wants to always feel like he's being courted, probably.
Yeah.
Even though he kind of tries to act like he's not like that.
Yeah.
But you can tell he does like that.
Here's the thing that I understand about Harbaugh.
Because I remember you talking about his press conferences, too. I've always remember you.
Yeah, he was and I watched all of them.
If he wins, dude, you know a funny thing?
Different guy.
If he wins, he's he'll go on 97.1. When you lose those rough years, he wouldn't go on those Mondays.
No.
He just wouldn't go on.
Yeah.
He'd send his assistant coach to talk.
Yeah.
And
that rubbed off on, when I was watching him a lot, and his press conferences a lot, I should mean, because I've always watched his football games, but that rubbed off on players. Colin Kaepernick had that attitude.
Yeah.
Where if the coach is doing that, where he's jovial and yuck it up guy, and he's got one-liners, and who's got it better than us? Nobody. He's that guy after a win, and then after a tough loss, he's a dick, he's short, he's all those things.
Yeah.
That's how Colin Kaepernick became in the locker room.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, this is learned behavior. This is not how a professional athlete behaves. Like, they're trained. They work on those guys.
You see your coach doing it, I guess.
Yeah, of course. It's acceptable then.
And you know what's funny?
The problem I'll say with Harbaugh, though, is with the 49er organization, what they realize is what Jim Harbaugh has one switch, and he treats everybody as if they're a starter on the roster, right?
Right.
So whether you're a backup player, whether you're a secretary, whether you're a equipment guy or a doctor or upper management in the building, he treats everybody the same. And some people might go, yeah, hey, that's kind of cool. He treats everybody but secretaries don't need to be treated that way.
Right. They're not.
They're not part of the football team. They're not part of the training staff or the coaching staff. They're not someone you can't punch down in that situation. And I agree with that. You're the top dog. And that's what got him blown out in San Francisco. They were like, all right, this guy's fucking kind of nutsy, and we can't have him yelling at secretaries.
Yeah.
Like, you just
can't
do it.
By the way, when you mentioned, and we don't have to go down this route, but when you mentioned that, I always wondered if there was there's a few things in sports where I always wish I could know what the real story was. Mm-hmm. And I know when Rick Carlisle was the coach of the Pistons, right? And then they eventually won with Jim, I can't think of his name. It was Larry Brown.
Larry Brown.
Fuck.
Yeah, I didn't know who you were talking about.
But they hired Larry Brown. Most people thought because, dude, he was such a good coach. And take him to the next level. But they kind of when they got Larry Carlisle, they didn't just say, hey, you're great, but we couldn't turn down Larry Brown. Yeah. They came out with these weird stories. I just think about it, you mentioned secretary, like that he was short with secretaries and stuff. And I don't think anybody really believed, with Harbaugh, people believe it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really believed it with Carlisle. I think everyone knew. They just no, dude, Larry Brown's going to take it to the next level. I always wish I could really go back and like, he didn't seem like that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but they kind of floated it out there because they didn't want to make it seem like they got rid of him just because of
Yeah.
just like just to move on.
Well, there's a lot of people that have done that.
Yeah.
With coaches. It's not a rare one. You actually bring up a really good example. Rick Carlisle was doing well.
Right.
And that team was good. And it was like, oh, Larry Brown's become available.
It just felt like.
So there's a lot of people that are talking today even, like Sean McDermott is a great head coach. Absolutely great head coach. But if you can get Bill Belichick.
Right.
And Sean McDermott and the Bills are really good.
Right.
Maybe he's so good to this point, but you've lost 4 years in a row to the Chiefs and the Ravens, whatever. Like, at some point, do you need to bring in someone different to get you over the top?
Right.
And that's where they are.
Yeah.
You know, you could say that with Dallas, you know, and like, oh, yeah, this guy's the winningest coach, McCarthy.
Yeah.
Winningest coach in regular season. If you think any NFL fan gives a shit about you can go fucking 15-0 in the regular season, 17-0 in the regular season. They don't give a shit if you get smoked in a playoff
regularly,
game. Dallas is a joke. Franchise known for not showing up in the big game, in the big moment. It's like, okay, maybe you've got the horses, maybe you've got a coach that can get these guys up for regular season games. But maybe you need someone to take them over the top.
You know what I saw, by the way, when you mentioned that? I saw someone pointed this out. They said the Lions went 0-16 in this century and have still made a conference championship before Dallas.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. Dan, what's his, Orlovsky said that.
Okay. Is that what
he called it a dad joke. And I was like, all right. Yeah.
But it is true.
One of the other tweets I thought was interesting today, I read this one about the Lions. And they're talking about the hiring of Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
So these are some of the headlines people in media. Brian Flores would never. This is a hire I cannot get behind. Dan Campbell is poised to be a disaster. Another quote. He's just a meathead. Another quote. I love these. This is who black coaches are losing opportunities to.
Oh, boy.
God. Goff is going from McVay to Fred Flintstone. This hire was an incredible reach. An embarrassing hire for the Lions. Dan Campbell doesn't seem very bright. He'll never be the guy. The Lions will never reach their potential under Dan Campbell.
And you know what's funny about this? I will say, and when we were talking in the little breaks there where Greg was, doing the dog thing, that's where I said, like, I don't think it's funny. He talks about you get older and the passion's gone. I don't feel I have any less passion for sports. I
do.
Okay, but I'm saying I don't.
Yeah, I do a lot.
I don't, but I will say I have less passion for caring about any of the analysis of it.
I have less passion for virtually everything.
Well, but yeah, we are very different people.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? 10 years ago when I was your age, I had more passion for things.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to say it. Some of that's mental health issues I've battled. Some of that is older age, but there's no doubt that I'm jaded in a lot of things I look at. I
agree.
My faith in humanity continues to be fucking shit on and jaded as far as people just being good people, good human beings.
Yeah.
Their true colors come out at times, and that sucks. I see it time and time again with people, and it's like, so what was everything fake before that about you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't think. I mean, no offense. I think there are other. I just think in general, every human is a different human being. I think this is how I am. I don't believe in 10 years. I'm not saying. I think
we'll see. Is this in 10 years when you still aren't married and you don't have kids that maybe you get more jaded as time goes on?
I think everybody gets more jaded as they get older. My whole point of that was.
Then what's your point? Because that's the whole point I'm making. Is everybody gets more jaded as time goes on?
Well, no. My initial point, you kind of ran with the jadedness. My initial point was I still have a passion for the actual emotion of the game. But when you read those quotes from these people, like when Greg says, like, there's no, who cares? You just say this thing and it doesn't matter. There's no.
Yeah.
My point is stuff like that. I don't care at all about that anymore because
the headlines.
That's That's if I didn't articulate clearly, that's what I meant. I just mean like I didn't think he would. You're right. He was 3. By the way, at one point he was fucking 3 in the first season.
And I was the fucking one with my hand the highest saying, do not terminate this coach.
Yeah.
Not because I thought he was the answer, but I think at no point giving a guy a year is worth it. Giving a guy 2 years is pointless.
Yeah.
It's pointless. You have to let these guys bring in their own guys and start the ball rolling.
Well, that's all.
The Fords were smart enough to eke through that tough period when all the headlines from all the fucking know-it-all reporters in town are saying, this is a joke. Why are we listening to Fred Flintstone? He needs to be fired after 6 weeks. You're like, dude, really?
Yeah.
How would you like it at your job if you go into a shit show situation and they give you 6 weeks to fix it?
Yeah.
No. Can I bring some guys in here?
Yeah.
Can I change the mentality? Can I put together my vision that you hired me for, that I've been working towards for the last 20 fucking years? Can you give me a shot? It never makes sense to me. And it's like, oh, we hired this guy and he's gone after halfway through the season. Well, that was smart.
Well, and that's where
that was smart.
And that's where I go to. So in this sense, I think this is the sense that I have when you talk about getting more jaded or something. This is a sense that maybe I have changed since my 20s where I did legit care what some right. I'm just saying, I'm at the point now where if a team's good, I love it. Right now, riding high, listening to all the talk. I love hearing everyone talk about it. But when they're bad, I just I don't pay attention to Pistons. I just don't care. And I really don't care what writers.
Dude, I don't pay any attention to the Pistons. Win the game or lose the game. None. I don't care that much about basketball. So I just don't pay. I don't bitch about them. And you notice I don't bitch about the Pistons here. I don't care if they lost 30 games in a row. I don't give a fuck. Wake me up when you're good. Football's a different story for me. But as my sports go, you better deliver on the field or I won't be there.
That's all I care about is the field, I would say. And the other stuff, to the extent of these people's jobs, and nothing against them, but all those, again, sports writers are first take on all that shit.
Yeah.
I watch it when it's fun for me. I'm not going to watch it when it's not fun. I don't care if the Lions are 0-16 again. I'm not watching it. I don't care.
Amount of trying to stuff racism into every story that they do, the amount of if this had been a white quarterback, they'd be treating him, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, what angry world are you living in where you think this is reality? Do you think really that there are, and even if there was one, is he the biggest outlier and joke in all of sports?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so what? You're going to try to undo every injustice for the last 100 years in this country? Give me a break. If you think that this black kid can help you in whatever way, you hire him. If he doesn't deliver, you get rid of him and you bring in someone else. And if that next guy happens to be white, it's not because the other guy was black. It's because you're trying to field the best possible teams. The criticisms against Lamar are legit. He hasn't finished a fucking regular season in 3 years. So he's doing well now. That's great. But his style of football gets players hurt. It just does.
Right.
And so if you've got one of those quarterbacks, they're amazing. They're fun to watch. Watch how much the game changes for Josh in Buffalo.
Right.
It will. These guys can't sustain running 30 yards down the field and taking on a linebacker.
How could you? No.
It just doesn't work. It just doesn't. And so even these guys that do it right away and oh my God, this is amazing. He's revolutionizing it. No, he's not revolutionizing the game because you take one hit the wrong way and your season's fucking done.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. And so, I don't care who it is. They're all susceptible to that. So I just wish there was so much less of the black-white thing. It's just such a lazy argument.
You just don't watch. That's the end?
No, I don't, dude. It's the first time I've watched them in 5-10 years.
I know you don't.
It's the first time I've watched these shows. Only because my teams are in it. It's like, okay, let's see what it is. And I find out that their coverage is 0. And they're still talking about irrelevant race shit.
Most people aren't watching, by the way, too. The numbers are obviously way down in a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, not as much as I'd like.
Really? Okay.
It is what it is. But I don't know, man. It's just sad. It's sad. Like here you have some of the most successful people in sports broadcasting, and it's like, are you trying to keep the races separated? I don't know what this is. You can't honestly be saying there's massive discrimination of players in the NFL. Like 75% of them are black. What are you talking about? The whole league is black. It's even more so in the NBA. And if they ever get a fucking penchant for hockey, it'll be worse there. So, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I hear ya.
It's just infuriating because I see so many people copy those takes and keep playing that record. It's just I just don't.
I take comfort in the fact that I know they're not genuine. I know.
Do you think so? I fear that they sort of are.
Some are and some aren't.
Yeah. I mean, there's race baiters and there's, those guys. They made me roll my eyes 20 years ago when it was they couldn't say anything that didn't involve, well, as a black man in this country. You're like, oh, God. A black man in this country, by the way, making millions of dollars a year to give your fucking opinion on whatever. But okay.
Yeah.
I know this white man in America ain't doing as well as that black man in America.
Right.
That I know for sure. E, are you doing as well as that black man in America?
I certainly am not. I would say that I wasn't gifted at the tackle ball.
No, you weren't. All right. Why don't I save a couple of these emails? Did you want to come by tomorrow, Isis?
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, for sure.
Wednesday. Okay. I am getting on to talk more about this matchup. I thought it would be interesting. I know everyone around here is talking about the Lions-Niners game, the Lions going to the championship, possibly going to the Super Bowl. So I reached out to Larry Krueger. Now, Larry Krueger is a former CFL scout, okay, Canadian Football League. He's a former NFL scout. He's long-time Bay Area sports talk radio guy, decades at KNVR, which is the big sports talk station out there. He now does a podcast, The Krug Show, Larry Krueger. And I've been watching him for years. He's great. And the reason I like him is he's not a hometown slappy kind of guy. He sort of is. I mean, he's a big Giants guy, big Warriors guy, big 49ers guy. But he knows as much about your team as he does about the Niners. And so it's like when he's talking about the Lions and what they bring to the table, he sounds every bit as good as like people around here that really know their shit.
Right.
And so I was like, Larry, why don't you come in? And I've been talking to Larry a little bit here and there since the preseason, when I was laid up with back surgery and stuff, because I was watching a lot of his videos then. He's like, sure, I'd love to come on. And so we're going to get Larry on at some point this week to break down this game in San Francisco, Santa Clara, to be specific.
They made it very clear, I noticed several times in the coverage, in the game. Like they regularly said, Santa Clara instead of just generically saying San Francisco.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing or not.
Candlestick was in the city. And every time I drive by Candlestick Point and the stadium's not there off the freeway, it just bums me out. It just bums me out.
I wish I could have gone and I love going to old stadiums. I wish I could have toured that one.
Candlestick Park was special, man. That was awesome. This one now, it's funny. They don't usually show it. They showed it yesterday, but Great America's right next door.
Yeah.
So there's this giant amusement park right next door. And Levi Stadium is literally the ugliest stadium on planet Earth. And I don't know. Maybe we'll ask Larry about this. Maybe he knows.
If they like it or?
No. I'm sure they don't. It's hideous. My dad calls it the erector set. It looks like it's half built. And maybe they had to do this construction-wise for earthquakes. Maybe this is some specially built to sustain an earthquake. That's the only thing I can think of. Because how do you put $1 billion thing together and it's absolutely god-awful, ugly looking?
And you got to be obvious you're stuck with it for quite a bit.
Yeah, you're going to be with it for 20-plus years. And the fact is, too, they didn't
for this historic franchise.
They didn't do great research. So every seat in there gets pounded with sun.
Oh, really?
So usually it's like half the stadium is where your locals are, and then they stick the visitors over there, and it's like, they can get beat by the sun. No, in Levi Stadium, you get hit with sun no matter where you are in the stadium. And they're like, boys, really thought this through, Anna. The way you angled the stadium, that it's always sunny here, and
that's interesting.
This is crazy.
It just shows, it's funny, it just shows you that, dude, even billionaires and whatever, all that shit, they can still just, they can be idiots or whatever. I don't know, fuck up something.
Yeah. So why don't we leave it there? We've actually gone long. I thought we were going to do a shorter one tonight, but hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be back tomorrow. And then I'll keep talking to Larry and see, unless he blows us off, which is possible, I suppose, but seems like a good enough dude. So hopefully we'll get to him and get kind of the Bay Area perspective on what's to be, hands down, the biggest Lions game in our lives and probably the history of this organization. Honestly, it's probably a bigger moment than the Redskins championship game in '91. It's probably the biggest moment in this franchise's long history, and so we'll talk to Larry at some point, get his thoughts on the matchup, and with that, we will call it a day. Thank you, Isis. We'll see you tomorrow, buddy.